Today on the workbench, I've got a Burlington Northern SD40-2 here, and this is a Broadway Limited. It's one of the old blue box Broadway Limiteds. So it does have sound in it and DCC, but we're going to take that out, and we're going to put in a scale sound system speaker. And I've got a Soundtraxx decoder for this, and we're going to put a Keep Alive in it. So let's jump right in. Well, I say that, I don't have my screwdriver laying here like I thought. There it is. Alright, so let's start by pulling the couplers out. And that comes right off. No wiring in the shell. And this already has ditch lights. They're LED. You can see those. And if you can hear that, that's my air conditioner kicking on. We'll shut that off for now. And so what we'll end up doing here, so we've got LEDs for the rear lights, LED for the front lights. I'm going to pull this board completely out. Oh, that's one of my overhead lights just fell. Okay, so, and actually I said this model was DCC. It's not, it's DCC ready. So the simple thing we could do was be to get an 8-pin, a decoder with an 8-pin plug and just plug it right in, be good to go. But we are not going to do that. We're going to take this out and put in a 21-pin decoder in a Decoder Buddy. So try to figure out what's what here, and I'll end up just cutting the most of it. But I do kind of like to see where these go. That way I can kind of leave them long if I need to. What do we got here? This black. So I'm going to cut all these back close to the connectors. Because I know I'll be reusing the wire. motor wires. And those boards are labeled. So those are the motors. We had some track pickups, both of those. And I can't read that one. So I think that I have all of the wiring disconnected there. And I've got one more. It's a heck of a magnet. Well, I'll get that here in a minute. All right. So there's that. So we've got everything off of it. Now, I want to pull this speaker out. How? Oh, there it is. Got a couple of screws right here. Nope. And we've got another one here. Pull this piece of tape off. That's just for the wiring. Okay, that is loose, but I'm still not sure. Unless it's, there's two screws in the bottom here. So once you take all that apart, so basically to pull that whole thing out would have just been these two screws. And this is the center of it. That's where our new scale sound system speaker will go. Okay, I fiddled around and put the enclosure back together. Now this is part of the original enclosure, this plastic piece, and it's set right in there in the center. But with this new scale sound system speaker, we can't use this plastic piece. So this will fit nicely into the opening there. And I'll go ahead and I'll have to attach some wires there, and then we can attach the speaker to the frame, and then we can put our frame back on just like that. So of course I guess I could put the frame on now, and that way I won't have to worry about the screws. So there's one. That second one started in there. We've still got room to run our wiring. So we'll let me get my decoder buddy, and then that way I can determine how long of wires I need. I may just reuse these two that came with the original speaker, so I'll be back. Alright, so I've got our Decoder Buddy Tiny here, and go ahead and connect it. So I've only got 4 functions, and there's a plastic washer on there so that track power won't come into that screw. Take that back out. Put in a different one there. I don't think that's hitting anything. Okay. Wanted to check that through my magnifier to make sure that wasn't hitting that pad, but we're good there. All right. So the speaker, it'll sit right in here. My keep alive will be here. Here's my motor. That'll work out well. So we might as well start here. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and put some flux on all these. And I'll tin all of them up. I should have had my soldering iron on, but I didn't. So while that's heating up, we'll get out some alcohol. and a Q-tip. And we'll clean the top of this off a little bit. And I'll end up putting a couple pieces of tape around, double-sided tape. Piece isn't going to work. So let me, before I forget it, mount that thing in there. I want to attach the wiring . And I'm just using the old wire. I know it's no good for you, but I love the smell of that flux. So I've got my wires tinned. Now I want to tin the speaker. Okay, so there's our speaker. Now let me get another piece of tape here. Put a couple up on the top. There's one. Run those wires up in between. Wouldn't you know it? Put that piece in too far. There we go. All right. There's our speaker mounted. Now we'll go through and we'll get some of these terminals tinned. Let me zoom in here a little bit. So what we've got is a speaker, track, rear light, negative, rear light, positive, track, motor, and then our aux ports for lights. That's a negative, there's the positive, and there's the other negative. Now I might as well do these over here. And while we're at it, up here in the front, track pickup, front positive, front light function, and track pickup. So now clean that tip off. Get my Q-tip out. Get the biggest part of that flux off of there. That looks pretty good. So now, what I want to do, I'm going to start right here with the speakers. Or speaker. And hook it up. Maybe I won't be working over top of myself. I'm sure I will be, but so we'll get these speaker wires fluxed and tinned. Well, come on. So we've got our speaker tied in. This is where I want to put my keep alive if I can. I've got a KA4, TCS KA4 to put right here. So what do we got? Let's go with our track pickups. Get some of this other stuff out of the way. So I can see back here that my gray is coming off of the conductor side, and then we can put that down. Let me strip this off. So there's that track pickup. And then I've got this one that needs trimmed, and we'll put some flux on it. Then we'll tin that up. So there's that. This board will require a resistor on the light, or on the negative. So let me run a positive over here. I'll hook the positive in. May have to move that a little bit. That's better. Had it at a crazy angle there. There's my black. So what I need to do is get a resistor. And we'll hook one right to the board. Okay. Get a small piece of heat shrink here. So I have my resistor on for that one. Trim that off just a touch. Everything's already fluxed and soldered. So there's that. Now, so I've got some track pickups. We'll do this motor, and then I'll put a decoder on it. Check the direction. And then continue on to the front. So I've got the motor hooked up, the rear light, the speaker. Take those off. I've got a decoder here that I use to test with. And I'll put this up on the test track. I'll be back. Okay, I've got my TCS KA4 out here, and we're going to go ahead and mount it back in this space here. So I want to clean that off with some alcohol, and we'll wipe off that. So the direction, I did test it. The direction is right. The rear light works, and we have sound. So far, we're doing good. Now, we'll get our Keep Alive mounted. And it does run really smooth. I will say that. This is the first time I've ran it. So that fits quite nicely right there. Now I can cut these off right there. Go ahead and strip these. Now we can tin them. Turn that down some. we'll start our black with the white tracer is the ground. Let me turn that around. Those wires will be under the decoder. All right. We'll get that put away neatly here after a bit. I'll turn this back around. And now, let's start with something simple here, our track pickups. So there's one. I know it's not that gray or too red. Okay. Here is a track pickup for this side. Cut that off. So we can stick this down. And then we'll get our other, this is our other track pickup. That off. I don't like that. There. So there's all of our track pickups. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do this front light. This is the positive side. And then all we'll have left is our ditch lights. And I am going to try to hook them up separately to where I can make them flash. Now I know this is a positive for the front lights, so I'm going to go ahead and hook it up. We'll run it up through. See, these mounting holes make great wire holders also, if you're not using them to mount anything. That'll keep your wire nice and tucked in. So there are our positive wires for the lights. Actually, I am only going to use one function because I want to keep this board. So how do they have that? What do I got here? I can't see my wire from my front light. Not sure what happened to that deer. Well, now I need to chase some things here. Unless, maybe, okay, so that's one ditch light. Let me mark that. And I'm just doing this by pulling wires. I'm not doing it with a meter or anything. And then I want to see where this one goes. Alright, that's that one. So what I'm thinking is they've got this thing wired up that the ditch lights are fed from the same board that the headlight is. So let me get out my tweezers, smart tweezers, and we'll just find out real quick. So touch that. Well, yep, that's the way they've got it hooked up. Alright, so that's the way I'm going to hook it back. I'm not going to separate those out to where they... Well, maybe I should, because I can just unhook it from this board. Well, either way, what we're going to need first, we're going to need 3 resistors. Well, 2 resistors. No, 3 I mean. Dummy. Because I've got 3 functions. So one of these is for the headlight. And the other 2 will be for the ditch lights. So while we're at it, we might as well just separate them out. We'll all be happier. So there's that. I'm going to pull this board off of here for right now. That way I can kind of look at it and see what I do have. Yep, that wire feeds the whole board, which I do not want it to do. Okay, here we go. This is what it is. So that wire right there is the other ditch light. Yep. That's the other ditch light. Okay. So now we're separated off of that. This is our headlight. And wouldn't you know it, I'll have to put a piece of wire on that to make it longer. Because I'm going to run it over here. And actually what I'll do is, instead of wiring the resistor right to the board, I'm going to put a little wire on this. You'll see here in a second what I'm going to do. So that'll give me one. Another piece. Put some flux on here. All right. Now, I can put the resistor right in line or resistors. So I can take this one, put it in. And I'll get some heat shrink here. And I'll just cover that hole, the whole thing. Strip some wire off. It's all about repetition at this point. So there's one. So that's one hooked up. Now, let's go with, we got to make up another resistor. And these are 2000 ohm resistors. Okay, there's that. Before I forget, we'll get another piece of heat shrink. We strip our wire for our other input. Okay, so there are the ditch lights. Now the only one I have left is the headlight. So we need another resistor. Lather, rinse, repeat. Okay, so there are those. Now this, I'm just going to attach it right to the board after I put this wire on. And then all of our lights will be done. I'll put my heat shrink on there. Clean that off. Kind of move them over to the side. All right. Everything is connected. Now, just got to put this board back on here. Okay. So we're good to go. That's all the wiring done. Keep Alive is in. All I'm going to do is put the decoder on it, and I've got to go get it. Okay, so I've got the decoder here. It's a Soundtraxx decoder. I'll get that plugged in. Okay, now I'm going to try it before I put the body back on, so I'll be back. Alright, I almost forgot something here. Everything is wired up, and I had the shell. I was getting ready to put the shell back on, as you saw. But one thing I wanted to add, and I've never done this before, is I want to add one of these transient voltage suppressors. And there was an article on this, or on these, in the April Model Railroad Hobbyist magazine. And what this does is helps protect your decoder. So the way it hooks up is it hooks up to the motor leads. But yeah, that's what they do. They just help protect the decoder from shorts. And this is really good, according to the article, on a club layout. So I suggest you read the article. I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but so I run most of my stuff in a club setting, and we do have some issues with things shorting and people, you know, derailing stuff. You name it. Shorts can come from anywhere, but this is supposed to help take that voltage and so the decoder won't see that spike in the voltage. But I wanted to put this on this locomotive. This will be the first one I've done with it. And then I'm just going to, you know, I'll keep taking it to the club and just run the heck out of the thing. But yeah, I wanted to give this a shot. And so we'll go ahead and let's zoom in on this and get this out of the way. Now it is just the right size, and I just had my tweezers in my hand. Here they are. On a full-size decoder buddy, let me pull this back over here. I mean, it would fit right there on the Decoder Buddy terminals. But with the board right there above it, it won't let the board sit down the way it's supposed to. So what I'm going to do is kind of mount this thing remotely. I'll just run a couple of pieces of wire to it, and then we'll put it, you know, here somewhere like that. But shouldn't be any big deal. So let me go ahead and put a little bit of solder there, or flux I mean. And I've got the, let's see, where's my piece at? There it is. So we've got that, got the flux on it. And there's that side. And there's that side. And we'll put a piece of heat shrink or something over that when we get done. I've got a couple of pieces of wire here that are already tinned. Actually, they're from my Keep Alive. So cut that off. Like I say, this isn't a hard process. It's just a matter of remembering to do it. So basically I'm just doubling this back over on itself, but I will, when I'm done, cut that in half. I don't know why I sit and fight these things. So there's that. I'm going to zoom back out a little bit. All right. Now, to protect that, I'm going to take a piece of heat shrink and put over it. Let's see. That won't fit. That piece will fit. Boy, that stinks. Cut that little bit of excess off. All right, now pull that back, and so what I'm going to do is just put it right across the motor mounts there. Turn that thing around. And that's all there is to it. And then I can take it, place that right in there. Fits nicely. All right, so I've just got it there laying in the slide. But that'll take care of our shorts from now on. All right, now I can put the shell back on, and then we'll test this thing out. Oh, but first, let's put the decoder on. Well, there would have been room on that one. I said that wrong. There would have been plenty of room right there. Oh well, we've got it right there now. It's all hooked up and ready to go. I'll be back. All right, as you can see, we've got this up on the test stands and we've got it completed. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'll plug in the DCC system here and let this thing run through its startup sequence. So that fires up real nice. Nothing really special about this. We do have our 1-scale sound system speaker in it, and I do have the volume turned down a little bit. So let's go through, and there's our horn. Of course, our bell. And let's see. We'll turn the lights on there, and I'll run this around to where you can see the front of it. It does run really smooth. Take it around a little more. Now, one thing that you can see here, I did have to go back in when I wired up the ditch lights on this. I had to take and redo them from what I have on the video. Somehow the way they have their board set up, they would have been in, let's see, they would have had them in series on that board, and I couldn't, it wouldn't work that way. I could get one to come on but not the other. So I went back and I cut the trace on the board, or no, I unwired it. That's what I did. Unwired it and just used one function output to control both lights so they do not flash. But I did set it up to where all the lights come on at one time. So you can see they all went off there, and there they all come back on. So let me go back a little bit here. So these SD40-2s are one of my favorite locomotives, and this one's no different. So anyway, we've got this one completed, and yeah, one of these days I'll get this thing set up to where this proto throttle will control this. So, alright, thanks for watching.